My fellow traders, I hope everybody had a great day today. Well, today we saw the SPY break that 260 pivot we've been kind of monitoring for the last couple of days. Hopefully it can continue. If it stays above it and we push off of it tomorrow, then you add in the fact that tomorrow's unofficial start of earnings, then we should see some volume and volatility come in, and that's what we day traders need so we can make a little bit of money. So I'm not going to get too hyped. I'm not going to come in, too pumped up, because we all know what happens whenever that I end up doing that. But going to come in, make sure I'm focused, and see if we can attack this market. One thing I want to address today, after I trade this morning, I got, several PMs, wanting to know, what did we do wrong? Why didn't this trade work? What was wrong with the setup? And you'll see when we go through this, absolutely nothing. But the point I want to make is that no matter how perfect the setup is, no matter how beautiful the chart and the trigger, there's no guarantee that the trade is going to work. The market is random at best, and it only takes one person to negate the technicals on a chart. That's all it does. One person can come in and throw enough weight to move the market opposite the direction that it's going. And that's a well-known fact. So no matter how perfect or how beautiful the setup is, there's no guarantee it's going to work. But we have faith in our process. We have faith in our strategy that over time, we're going to have more winners than losers. And if we manage our risk, then we're going to make more money than we lose. And that's the name of the game. You can analyze it, you can reflect on it at night, but if there's nothing wrong with the setup, don't worry about trying to explain or try to find a reason why something does what it does. You'll go crazy trying to figure it out. We can assume, we can make assumptions, but the reality is, unless we're in on it, we'll never know what the deal was. So don't worry about it. If our first trade fails, then fine. When we go in to trade, we should go in with a blank slate. All we're doing is executing our trade plan. Doesn't matter whether it goes in our favor or goes against us. We just execute our plan. And once the trade is over, we move on to the next trade. Or we get ready for the next trade if it shows up. We can't get married to the trade that we just finished. If I know sometimes if it's the biggest winner, you made a lot of money, it's the first time you made $300 or $400 on a trade, or it's been a long time since you've done it, yeah, feel good about it. But then you got to reset, go back in, get locked in, and get back to work. Same thing if we have a loser. We can't sit and have a pity party. It doesn't make sense. So we have to accept the fact that they're going to be losers. Our perfect setups are not, a lot of times, aren't going to work. The other thing, that I heard was, I was up $80. I was up $100. And I was waiting on it to hit my target, and then I ended up getting stopped out. From now on, if I get $100, I'm just going to take it. That mentality, watching your P&L, that's going to stunt your growth as a trader. It's going to prevent you from maximizing the potential of some of the moves that we're going to run into. And it's really going to slow down your growth so much that it will strangle your trading. That's not a good idea. I always recommend don't look at your P&L when you're in a trade. When you take that trade, all you need to do is focus on executing your trade plan. If it hits your stop, you take it off without question. When it hits your profit target, you take it off without question. Don't hold it saying, I'm going to see if I can get a couple more cents. You've seen me do it live and in color in the room. You've seen me make that mistake. You see what happens when I make that mistake. It always comes back to bite me. So we focus on executing our trade plan. Don't worry about whether it's a win, loss. Doesn't matter. You execute that plan. And if you execute your plan and you manage your risk and you know that you're trading a strategy that will provide more winners than losers, at the end of the week, money's going to be in your bank account. You don't have to worry about that. So that's my rant for today. But it's really, I really felt the need to kind of share that because of what I was experiencing today. So come on, let's take a look at my trades and see what I did today. All right, guys, real quick, before I get into my recaps, I want to remind you guys tomorrow at 4:30, right back in the chat room, we're doing the second workshop of our roadmap to success. This is where I went back and mapped out the road I took to get to where I am right now. And I'm spending this year going through that roadmap with you, showing you step by step how I got to where I am today, so that you have something that you can build on. You can take it, you can follow it, and of course you're going to start expanding on it and making it your own. But the key is, I didn't have anything out there that I took you through each step in the process, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this. Like I said, 2019 is going to be our year, and I'm going to do everything I can to help 2019 be your year. So don't miss it. If you do, you can catch the recording. All right. So we're looking at the SPY here. This was a 5-minute chart today. You can see where we were down and we came off the lows here. Now overnight, we came close to touching 260. I think we got up to 259.40ish or so. But here at the open, we started pushing up. And the reason why this is important is because this is the very reason I felt comfortable going long in my trade, because the market was bouncing, it was pushing up, and I thought, coupled with that strength, I should be able to get a nice move, on this trade. But as you see, it didn't quite work out. So here's the daily chart, and this is the 260 level that, this is the pivot that we have been looking at. And this goes back, for a minute, but this was a really good move on the SPY today. So we got over it, we tested it. What I want to see it do is hold over this tomorrow and push off some. If we do that, and again, coupled with the earnings coming in, I think we're going to have a very good rest of the week. But that's going to remain to be seen. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen in the market. We can predict, we can guess, we can make educated guesses based on the technicals on the chart. But we all know, just because the technicals say one thing doesn't mean the stock's going to do it. Somebody could come in and throw a wrench in all of that. So I'm looking for it to potentially hold this 260 and push off and bring some volume and volatility into the market for us. So the first trade we took was on DAL. Now, the first sign of trouble was when earnings was announced, and you could see you just couldn't figure out what it was going to do. It had some weak guidance, but as we're coming into the open, I'm looking at this and we're making slightly higher lows, so we're not breaking down. And then going into the earning, we had this. The open, we had this strong move up through all the moving averages, and I'm like, hey, that's it. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look for this thing to pull back, test some of these levels, put in a candle here the first 5 minutes, and when we break it, we're going to go long. That's exactly what I did. We got the 5-minute opening range high here. Maybe I could have just used the body, but with this deal, the wick is nowhere near as long as the body, so I went off the wick. Once we broke it, I got in without hesitation, and it started to work. And this is what frustrated a lot of people. It's like it started to work, and I was up, but my first target was 49.50, and you can see it got to 49.30, but that was about it. And it came, crashing back down, and it ended up stopping me out. There's nothing we did wrong on this. This is just one of those trades that did not work. For some reason, somebody started dumping shares, and this thing sold off pretty quickly. But all we can do is file this away and go back after it again. And that's pretty much what we did. So I think I lost, let's see, I didn't have enough room to put this up here. About $150 on this trade, which is about what I wanted. That's all. That 150 is the max I'm willing to lose on a trade, and that's what I hit on this. All right, so TWLO, and now in order to understand what I was looking at, you need to look at this daily chart. You can see we have an ascending trend line running straight up, and every time we hit this trend line, we came crashing back down. Okay, the trade I took on Thursday? Thursday, you can see here we hit, sold off. On Thursday of last week, we hit this, and I'm like, I'm getting in it, because we know exactly what it's going to do. So we had that solid trade on Thursday. So today, I saw it setting up again. We made this strong run up into this ascending resistance. And you can see I was going to play it, the rejection again. There'll be a reversal, but we be rejecting on this level. And so, here you can see we got in right under the 20. I wasn't going to short into all of this, but I got in it. Of course, this is typical, but it doesn't happen all the time. I'd rather be in and waiting and withstand a little bit of pain in order to, get a good solid trade. But this one really kind of didn't trade any good anymore. We had decent movement through here, but once I got in, it just kind of fell flat on its face. You can see we were low on volume as well. So whenever you have a low volume situation like this, you're going to run into, these issues. But, solid $100 on this trade. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. Obviously, I thought we were going to pull back and test red to green or green to red, and it didn't do that. So ended up taking it all off here and just calling it a trade. This wasn't going to give me what I wanted, but I wanted to take advantage of what it did give me. So not a bad $100 move on this. I'll take these any day. All right. So here's the earnings play. Now, I start the night before. Now I've gone through this in the earnings class that I did. Showed you just what I do and how I find stocks and how I vet them and everything. So you know the process of how I find these stocks. And this is the only work that I do at night during the week. You know, I don't scan for swing trades during the week. I do that on Sunday. I just work my list the whole week. The only homework that I really do in terms of looking in the market is when I am looking for earnings plays. So UAL popped up on my scan last night, and I took a look at it, looked at some of the numbers behind it, got excited about it, thinking that this would be a pretty good, trade. Everything looked positive. We had room for it to gap up. The airlines have been doing relatively well with the lower fuel costs. Their profit margins are going to be greater. So I had everything to be positive about this UAL. But I don't look at this in the morning. I look at this stock after lunch. If I'm trading earnings after market, I'm not going to even look at the stock until later on in the day, because I don't want to get caught up in maybe wanting to, take it a little bit early or do something dumb. So I don't even want to look at it. It doesn't even come into my mind until after, lunch. And that's what we did here. And so what I'm looking for, once I have my thesis, and in this case, based on, I think just on the 9th, they announced, they had some really positive news on the 9th, which translated into the earnings beat. That was just, to me, that was just like, hey, here's a hint. We're going to beat earnings. To me, that's how I took it. So, and then I look at, during the day, I'm going to look at the price action. And I don't want to see it lose the moving averages and start trading below it. If it does, that's a deal breaker for me. Now, this morning was a little unique because DAL reported earnings. Delta Airlines, same sector. And they had a disappointing earnings report. And that's what caused the stock to kind of trade erratic the way it did. When it came out like that, automatically, I said, maybe this earnings play is not a good deal today. And I totally didn't expect it to come about. But when I looked at it after lunch, I looked at DAL and it had breached and gone green. It had pulled back since then, but I said, if DAL stays green, that's going to give me more confidence in taking the stock. And as we've seen today, these stocks trade in sympathy with each other. So we had several other airlines gapping up once UAL reported earnings. So, I felt pretty good about DAL being over yesterday's close, that it being green on the day. I felt good about that. And that's when allowed me to take this trade. Now, technically, the trade did exactly what I expected it to do. We will test and pull below the moving averages a couple times a day. But if it holds it, then it should be a good entry. And that's what we got. You got to get in these before the close, because On this stock, once the market closed, the spread was like $2. And there was no way I would get in this, a couple points away from where I could have gotten in back here. So, this was a solid trade. When it reported, it ran right up. 85 was my first target. 86 was my second target. And then this level up here, 86.50, was going to be my final target. Now, these were levels off the daily chart, pivot points off the daily chart. Here was the daily 20 that was sitting here. It just blew through it like it wasn't there. And, we nailed it. Now, again, we've done, 5 or 6 of these in a row? No losers. Okay, eventually, one is not going to do what, follow the plan I have laid out. And if it does, I just have to accept it because I know this isn't going to work perfectly every time. But the other thing is, if you trade this strategy the same way I made, how many points did I make on this? I got in at 81. I got to be willing to lose 3 or 4 points, to make 4 or 5. I mean, 2 to 3 points to, make 4 to 5 points. I've got to be willing to take that risk. And if I'm not willing to take that risk, I shouldn't be trading at all. Because my trading is going to be completely messed up. But, pretty decent day. 329.97, that's not bad. Remember I was telling you yesterday, some days you're going to be slow. You're not going to have, the day you want it. But there's always going to be 1 or 2 days in the week that you're going to pick up some extra cash. And it's going to level everything out. And today was that day for me. So not bad. Not bad at all. It's the end of Tuesday. We've already got, some decent profits locked in. I'm not going to add it up. I don't add things up like that until the end of the week because I don't want to know. I don't know and I don't want to know. All right, so that's going to do it for me. We're going to wrap this day up. I'm going to take a shower and I am going to bed. I am tired. I was up since 5 o'clock this morning. Well, actually 4:45 because I had a mentor session to do. Not everybody lives in the U.S. So I have to make concessions so that I can work with the traders who are on the down under. So I enjoy it. It's all fun. But by the end of the day like this, I'm just dead tired. And the reason why I know that is because I can't stop talking. I'm going to stop talking. You guys have a great day, great night, great evening, and I will see you in the morning.